I'm Steve Coles. I'm from Bishop Museum, and our marine invertebrate section for the last 12 years or so has been focused on surveying and determining the origin and the transportation of introduced marine species around the main Hawaiian Islands and, in fact, into the Northwest Islands, trying to prevent that from happening. This project is somewhat related to that because one of the interests that we have in doing it is to see if there are any introductions on any of these offshore islets. The rationale for it is that these offshore islets, some of them are relatively isolated and distant from human populations or exploitation, are relatively undisturbed and unpolluted, and their biota is also little known because they have been not pretty much looked at by people who doing this kind of work, but on the main islands and have pretty much determined what the characteristics of the biotic communities are. So they may harbor new or rare species. They may have different communities which are important, and they may offer the best chance for preserving intact reef system, offering refugia, which can be a possibility for repopulating areas which are more disturbed and therefore are good candidates for establishing marine reserves. This project is in the context of a larger project called the Offshore Islet Restoration Committee. This is a committee that was formed by a number of different federal and state agencies, Fish and Wildlife Service, NOAA, DAR, National Park Service, all of whom are interested in this concept and trying to do this conservation of these islet areas. So the committee is under the direction of Chris Swenson of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And I'm not a member of the committee, but I do sit in on the meetings, so we'll be interacting with them to both provide the information and to gain the information which they have accessed already. The ORIC committee is not just focused on marine concerns, but also is looking at terrestrial aspects, avian fauna, harbor or monk seals, any particular biota above the water or below the water which may be occurring on these islet areas. So it's multidisciplinary, as I said, terrestrial, marine, and dedicated to finding the baseline biological information that can be gained for this islet restoration, if restoration is needed or can be done. So we are taking a very modest role in this. We're going to be looking at, that there have been 61 islets which have been designated to be part of this survey and restoration effort, distributed from what's the island? From Niihau, I forget the next island out, but in farthest reach of the main Hawaiian chain to as far down to the Big Island. And this, presently there's only information available in the marine area for 11 of the islets which have been surveyed by DAR, Department of Aquatic Resources that Skippy is a member of, or the National Oceanic and Aeronautics Administration, who are pretty much behind most of the surveys, either financially or doing themselves, that are being done in the main and northwestern Hawaiian Islands. Well, we're going to be focusing on 4 of the island areas, Oahu, Molokai, Lanai, and Maui, because of the limitations in budget and what we can do in a year's time. This is the choice that we made. And what this shows the islets which have been designated for being looked at. You can see there's 44 total of the 61 for the full Hawaiian chain, ranging from Oahu down to Lanai. And this, if you can see the yellow letters here, this tells the priority which has been assigned by the committee as far as gaining information on these islets for the marine information that can be accumulated. And so you can see from this that most of the H's for high priority are on the north coast of Molokai, or east coast of Molokai, which are the most inaccessible and will be the most challenging for us to deal with. And Maui, as most of the islets have been assigned medium, and Oahu medium and low, and medium for Lanai. So going forward, 7 of these have already been surveyed, 4 of them on Oahu, only one of them on Molokai, two at the kind of opposite ends of Maui, and none on Lanai. And so when we wrote up the proposal, I forgot to mention the people that are involved in this and what the relationship is. This proposal was developed by us with Department of Aquatic Resources nearly a year ago with limited information on what the ORIC had its interests were at that time. So we kind of took some stabs in the dark, and I worked on this proposal with Dave Gulko, who will not be involved in the field work because some issues of diving capabilities. So we're going to be doing the field work in cooperation with Paul Morikawa. But nonetheless, this is a cooperative effort between the museum and Department of Aquatic Resources, and Skippy Howe and Russell here in Maui will be very important in it because, as you see, three of the islands will be essentially operating with the DIR people from here. So I don't believe they were fully informed of what they were being put into, but we're going to very much appreciate their cooperation as we go through with this. So anyway, developing the proposal, a lot of this came from Dave's, who has participated in many of these surveys. We decided to do this one that's at the, and I can't even see the names at this point, one of the far eastern stretch of Oahu, right next to Rabbit Island. And another islet, which is just a very small place up on the north shore. It's barely appears, this is the rock that kids jump from. I don't think it really is a good candidate, and we're not going to do that one. One of the ones that we had selected has already been done, but the two adjacent islets on the north coast of Molokai, we will continue, as well as the two on the east end. And the two that are going to be the most accessible are out of Ma'alea Bay, Po'opo'o, and Pu'upe'e on Lanai.